I was a teacher for 36 years.
我自己担任老师36年，
And I guess I never really did stop teaching.
老实讲，好像到现在都还没有停止教学。
I used to teach kids,
以前教孩子，
and now I teach teachers.
现在教老师。
So I want to share with you today some of the best things that I learned about teaching during my 36 years.
所以今天要跟大家分享的是我在36年教书当中，我学到最好的一些功课。
And about 8 years ago, some people convinced me to put all of those things into a book.
大概8年前，有人说服我把我所学到的这些写成了书。
And the subtitle of the book is 20 Things Good Teachers Do.
而我这本书的副标题呢，叫做《好老师会做的20件事》。
We won't be able to cover all 20 today,
当然，今天是不可能把20全部讲完的，
but hopefully we will cover most of them.
但我希望大部分的都能跟大家说完。
This is what the book looks like in my country,
啊，这个在我国家英文版本长得这样，
and this is what the book looks like in your country.
而在你们国家它长成这样。
This one is better because it has my picture on it.
这个比较好，因为我的照片放上头，你看。
Okay. One thing I would ask you before we get started is to honor the copyright rules.
那在开始之前呢，是要先提醒大家尊重智慧财产权。
In the United States, teachers copy anything they want to.
在美国啊，老师随便高兴喜欢什么，什么都拿来复印给人家。
So in my book, it says to them, copy anything you want.
所以在我的英文版本里面，直接就说了，随便你要印哪一页都行，
Because I know you're going to do it anyway.
因为反正你都是会做的，就不管了。
But this book is published by somebody else
可是，在台湾这个版权不是我自个儿的，
here in Taiwan,
在台湾这里，
so you'll have to ask them if you can copy.
所以如果你要翻译的话呢，一定要先征得他们许可才行。
Okay. Part 1, Qualities of a Good Teacher.
第一个部分要讲的是好老师的特质。
The first chapter in the book is called Good Teachers Share One Special Quality.
在我书上面第一章讲到，所有的好老师都共享一个同样的特质。
You should be asking yourself 2 questions right now.
现在你就该问自己2个问题啦。
1, what is that special quality?
第一，这项特质到底是什么？
Number 2, do I have that special quality?
第二就是我有没有这样的特质呢？
And I am more convinced than ever that this is the most important quality of a good teacher.
我现在比以前更加确信，这真的都是所有好老师的特质。
They're all a little crazy
他们都有点疯疯的，
about their jobs.
是关于他们的工作。
Sometimes we use the word crazy and it means something very bad.
有的时候我们把疯狂这个字拿来做不好的东西形容。
Like you see, that person is crazy and he does horrible things.
哇，你讲说那个人疯狂是做那种很可怕的事情，
But there's also a good kind of crazy.
可是疯狂还有好的一面呢。
In my country, when you fall in love with somebody,
在我们国家，如果你爱上一个人的时候，
you say, I'm just crazy about you.
哇，你跟他讲说我为你疯狂啊。
Well, good teachers are crazy about teaching.
好老师为教书而疯狂，
In other words, they love it.
换句话说，他们是热爱这个。
And in a few minutes, I'll talk about 2 ways to be crazy about your teaching job.
而等一下我会跟你讲到关于教书的工作有2种疯狂的方式。
Let me share with you the first assignment I ever received in graduate school for education.
那我先跟大家讲，我在念研究所关于教育的时候要做的第一项作业是什么？
In California, where I live,
我住在美国的加州，
In order to become a teacher, you go to 4 years of college and graduate.
你要当老师，先念完4年大学，之后还要毕业。
And then you go to another year of graduate study in order to get your teaching license.
你要拿到教师执照，还要再读1年研究所的课程。
So I was in my first ever graduate student class in education.
因此呢，我进了教育系的第1堂研究所的课。
And my professor gave each of us a piece of paper.
教授就给每一个人发了一张纸下去。
He said, "Please write down the names of the best teachers you have ever had."
他就跟我们讲，请你写下你这一生中最好的老师他的名字。
One of the students asked him, "How far back do we go?"
那就有一个学生就问他，那这个要追溯多久以前啊？
He said, "Go all the way back to kindergarten."
你可以一直追溯到幼稚园老师哦。
So I had kindergarten and then 8 years of elementary school.
因此我就想了，我的幼稚园，那我们的小学算是8年制的，这8年小学的过程。
And then I had 4 years of high school.
那他们的国中、高中是一起加一起4年的中学，
And then I had 4 years of university.
大学也有4年。
That's 17 years of school so far.
所以换句话说，我到那个时候已经读书读了17年了，
That's a lot of teachers.
里头就很多老师啊。
But it was a wonderful assignment for us as beginning teachers.
可是对于这些要做老师的人来说，对我们是很好的一份作业。
Think about the best ones you've ever had.
想想你有过最好的老师是谁？
Because you learn something about good teaching from each of them.
因为从每一位老师身上，我们都学到关于教学的一些特质。
So I had teachers from all of those different grade levels on my list.
因此，所有教育阶段当中，我都想到一些好老师，把它列出来了。
And the other students did the same thing.
其他每一位同学都做同样的事儿。
Then when we were all finished, our professor said, "Let's do part 2 of the assignment."
当大家都写完之后呢，教授就说：“好，现在这个作业呢还有第2个部分。”
And he asked us a simple question.
他就问我们一个简单的问题，
He said, "What do they all have in common?"
就问了这些人有什么共通的特点呢？
He said, "I want to have a class discussion about this. I don't want you to write your answer down."
那我要全班一起来讨论，可是不要把你的答案写下来。
So we shared stories about some of those greatest teachers that we ever had.
因此，我们大家就开始讲起来那些好老师他们过去的一些故事。
And we talked about why we admired them and the impact that they had on our lives.
就讲到为什么敬仰这些人，他们在我们生命中带出的影响是什么。
But remember, our professor asked us, "What do they all have in common?"
记得教授问我们的是他们共有的特质是什么？
Well, we all came to an agreement that the thing they had most in common was enthusiasm.
而我们大家都同意，他们最普遍常有的特质就是他们的热忱。
There are some other words that say the same thing as enthusiasm.
有其他的一些词啦，讲的意思跟这个热忱很像的。
High energy,
哇，精神充沛的，
passion,
很热情的，
excitement,
兴奋的，
enjoyment.
享受的。
In other words, they were crazy about their jobs.
换句话说，这些人都为自己的工作而疯狂，
They loved teaching.
他们喜爱教导。
I want to share with you an example of an enthusiastic teacher.
那我想跟大家分享一下一个热诚教师他的例子是什么。
And I met this teacher long after I worked on my teaching license.
我碰到这个老师呢，是在我上这堂教育课之后很多年以后的事。
Many years later, I got my doctorate in education.
很多年之后，我拿到教育学的博士。
And then after I got my doctorate, I went to Stanford University to do some postdoctoral work.
那拿到博士之后，我到史丹福大学做一些博士后的研究。
And I had there one of the greatest teachers that I've ever had.
在 那里碰到一个大概我这一生最棒的一位老师。
He started every class exactly the same way.
他每一堂课都是一模一样的开场，
And we never got tired of it.
大家从来不会觉得厌烦的。
He would come out in the front of the group.
他会走到班上前面，
He would look at all of us with a huge smile on his face.
脸上带着很灿烂的笑容看着每一个人。
And he would say, "You're going to love what we're learning tonight."
哇，你们一定会很爱我们今晚要学的内容。
And with that big smile and that great enthusiasm, he got us fired up.
哇，就因为他的微笑，他的热忱，我们每一个人都被激励起来。
And we now know that if a teacher is enthusiastic about his or her subject, the students will be enthusiastic also.
我们才发现，老师对这个主题跟教导内容热忱的时候，学生们也会这样的积极。
And it has been proven through research that students learn more from enthusiastic teachers.
而实际上，研究发现呢，学生们在一个有热忱的老师底下，学的会更多。
This is a quotation from a great humanitarian by the name of Albert Schweitzer.
而这一段名言呢，是出自一个非常出名的社会人道的学家，他的名字叫史怀哲。
If you love what you are doing, you will be successful.
你只要热爱你所做的，就会成功。
In teaching, there are two types of enthusiasm.
在教导的上面有两种的热忱。
The first type is for the kids themselves.
第一种呢，是对孩子的热忱。
You must love kids in order to be a good teacher.
要做好老师，一定要爱孩子，
And you must be the best role model that you can possibly be.
同时你要成为最好的角色模范。
As your governor said a few minutes ago,
就好像刚刚县长提的，
not all of your students have a good role model at home.
不是每一个学生在家里都有很好的父母做模范，
And that's where we come in.
所以老师就要进来了。
I had many students over the years who did not have a good role model at home.
这么多年来，我有很多的学生，他们在家里没有好的模范，
So they are always looking for one.
因此他们一直在寻找榜样。
The two passages on the screen here are what my professor called educational proverbs.
我在摆在荧幕上这两段话，是我的教授所列出的教育箴言。
He said he didn't know who said them first,
他说他已经不知道是谁先开始说的，
but that they had been around for years and years.
可是这些话已经流传很多很多年了。
The first one,
第一个，
if you can reach them, you can teach them.
你能接触他们，就能教导他们。
In other words, if you can connect in a personal way with your students, it is much more likely that they will learn from you.
换句话说，你各自跟学生们能够建立起这样亲自的契合关系，就比较可能让他们真的学习。
I've been asked many times in my own country what the most important thing about good teaching is.
在我们国家，很多人一直在问我说，关于好的教导最重要的是什么？
And I almost always answer, if you can reach them, you can teach them.
我几乎每一次回答都是：你能接触他们，就能教导他们。
The second one says, kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
第二段话是说，孩子不关心你知道什么，除非他们知道你有多关心。
My students did not care where I went to college.
我的学生根本不关心我在哪儿上的大学，
They did not care what college degrees I had.
他们也不关心我拿过多少学历，
They just wanted to know, did I care about them?
他们只想知道我关不关心他们。
The second type of his enthusiasm is for the teaching itself.
而第二种热忱是关乎教学的本身。
To repeat, if you get excited about what you're teaching, the excitement will rub off on the students.
我再重复一次，如果你对教导的内容很有热忱的话，也会感染到你的学生们。
Now this is the result of a research study.
这是他们做的研究后面的一个结果。
It says among teacher variables, enthusiasm has the most powerful and positive impact on student learning.
在各样教师的变数当中，热忱是学生影响他们学习最强有力的正面力量。
This research was conducted at the University of Michigan.
这个研究呢是在密西根大学做的，
And in many other places around the country.
还有在我们国家很多不同的地方也做过。
And they did study after study that proved that students learn more from an enthusiastic teacher.
一次又一次的研究发现，学生们在一个有热忱的老师底下学的会更多。
If the teacher likes teaching,
老师喜欢教，
the students will like learning.
学生就喜欢学。
Good teachers have two important goals.
好老师有两样很重要的目标。
The first one
第一个
is high standards in character.
是在品格上有高标准的要求。
In other words, teaching is more than just putting information into the brain.
换句话说，教导不是光把资讯塞进他们脑袋而已。